All right, all right, all right. Blah, freaking blah. This is Eric. Thank you for joining me. We're back at it. And as usual, I've got way more stuff to talk about than I have time for. So we're going to try to see what we can squeeze in today. It's Trailer Tuesday as of right now. And of course, I will be reviewing no trailers at the moment. Eric, where's the trailer reviews, man? Where's the trailer talk? I promise I'm going to get back in the schedule of things as soon as I can. We're going to be talking about trailers. There's a ton of trailers to talk about. And the difficulty is there's so many I want to talk to you guys about. But by the time I get around to it, I'm like, well, is it old hat? You know, do we still talk about it? I mean, I haven't talked about The Dark Tower. I haven't talked about it. Or, hell, I don't think I've talked about the Spider-Man trailer. You know, the newest one of those. So, I mean, I'm way, way, way behind. Way behind. But I'm wasting time right now. Thank you for joining me. I'm really glad to have all you guys. I really appreciate all you who have subscribed in the past couple of weeks. We just passed 100, which is excellent. Very exciting. And I guess we need about, oh man, only 5 or 6 100,000 more before I can do this full time. Which would be cool if I could do it full time because there's so much I want to do. There's so much I want to bring to you guys and so many, different ways that I'd like to bring it, and just a matter of time and finances right now. So yeah, so we do what we do and we have fun doing it. So hell, let's get into it. Let's see what we got first. You know what? I got a couple of Marvel bursts here, but it's not going to be the SJW Marvel stuff. Let's talk about something a little bit different. First up, Stan Lee. Let's talk about Stan Lee. Did you know that there was a theory about all of Stan Lee's cameos? Yeah, you know how he's in all the Marvel films and he's got great cameos. I mean, 9 times out of 10, those things are funny and they're hilarious and it's great to see him. I mean, the slight spoiler warning on this, if you've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, it's not a big one, but it is one. God, I'm trying to think if there's the constructive way of saying it without it being a spoiler. There's not. So, counting down to spoiler territory in 3, 2, 1. This coming, according to CBR.com, Stan Lee cameo theory is real. Feige confirms. So, if you've watched a movie set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you've no doubt noticed comic book visionary Stan Lee popping up in little cameo roles. For years, it's been rumored that rather than being silly cameos, Lee is actually portraying the same person, specifically Uatu, the Watcher, a character known for appearing when world-altering events are occurring. Boy, I bet he's all over the place right now. Digressing. So someone asked Kevin Feige about it, and surprisingly, he acknowledged it and even went so far as to confirm that it might not be a theory at all. Quoting Kevin Feige here, yes. We always thought it would be fun. Stan Lee clearly exists, above and apart from the reality of all the films. So the notion that he could be sitting there on a cosmic pit stop during the jump gate sequences in Guardians was something very fun. And it was. James had that idea, and we shot that cameo and loved it so much, you see it a couple of times in the movie. It wasn't in for a long time, and we put it back in towards the end of the process where he references that time he was a Federal Express agent, which you'll remember was from Captain America Civil War. We thought it would be fun to put that in there because that really says, so wait a minute, he's this same character who's popped up in all those films? Yes. I personally thought the most awkward one was Fantastic Four 2, The Rise of the Silver Surfer, where he's trying to get into the wedding, insisting to the security that he was Stan Lee. He was in fact Stan Lee. No, really. Kind of like, that was a little too meta. But, it's Stan Lee. Who cares? So, going on in the article, for those who want to avoid spoilers for any scene in Guardians 2, be sure to look away now. I'm not sure why they say that now. But digressing, Lee seems to appear twice in the film, and in both scenes he seems to be speaking to a group of Watchers about his findings. According to Screen Rant, the movie version of the Watchers looks similar to their comic book counterpoint, which they do, which wouldn't make Lee a Watcher per se, but merely a friend of theirs. While it's unlikely for any of this to ever mean much in the MCU, Feige made sure to note that this was more of a nod to the fans than an integral part of the story. It's good to see Marvel somewhat confirming the theory all of us have been subscribed to for some time. Not me. I didn't know this. I didn't even think about it. It was Stan Lee. It was awesome. So I didn't really go that far. Lee has already filmed his cameos for Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and Avengers Infinity War. Dang, just getting it done. And with this new information revealed, fans will have to pay extra attention to what he does in those films. So there you have it. Stan Lee is a watcher. That's his character. That's what they've turned that into now. And with that said, there's this clickbait article, and I'm gonna go into it a little. Do you guys like clickbait articles? I don't. How many times have you clicked it and been like, oh my god, I got suckered again? It's like they played this game of gotcha. I hate it. I hate it so much. Really, it was the sub-captioning for the Facebook post where I saw this. That was the clickbait. But this coming from comicbook.com. Stan Lee wants Marvel Studios to get all its characters back. Well, duh. Of course he does. Of course he does. They all do. I mean, most of us do. Actually, I'm sidestep. So, with the deal with Fox, I prefer at this point, as much as I would love to see the X-Men and all that group in the MCU, Disney are such dicks about it that I want Fox to succeed, and I want it to cost Disney a fortune to get those characters back. It's not like Disney doesn't have the money, but I mean they're just pricks about it. Canceling the Fantastic Four, relegating the X-Men. They're trying to bury the X-Men. At least they did. The fans they keep pushing because Disney's going, no, we've got the Inhumans. We don't need the X-Men, and fans so far, thankfully, have rejected that. And nothing against the Inhumans. Nothing against the characters or the potential they have. I'm happy to see it happen because of the prick move, failing. I don't like people being jerks or bullies. I don't like it on a personal level. I don't like it on a corporate level. And it always pleases me to see it when it fails. Disney definitely likes to throw their weight around. And, I'm not a fan of that at all. If I didn't like the Marvel guys so much, I'd probably walk away from the movies at some points because it just disgusts me so bad. So this article says, recently the iconic comics creator appeared at a convention in Des Moines, Iowa, where he talked about his work with the MCU. It was there that a fan asked why Marvel Studios and 20th Century Fox couldn't come to an agreement in the way that Sony Pictures did with Spider-Man. Okay, let me stop you right there, kid. No one's telling you this, but Sony's broke. Okay? Sony tried 2 Spider-Man films. They bombed. Well, they didn't bomb, but the critical reception was bad, and they were stopping. They were stuck. It was like their one flagship, and they are broke. So they cut a deal that Disney and Marvel could agree to, period. They were willing to let it go. Fox, on the other hand, not broke. Fox, on the other hand, Star Wars. They're not doing it. Disney doesn't want... it's just... Disney and Fox have a massive pissing contest. And, if you've even heard the flap about Last Man Standing, recently getting canceled when it was the second highest rated comedy on ABC. ABC is owned by Disney. Last Man Standing is owned by... Anybody care to take a guess? You there with your hand raised. Yes, Fox. Fox produces that show. And you can say what you want about, Tim Allen's politics. Yes, politics played a part in that. I'm sorry. Disney, you can see what they've done with Marvel. You can see what they're doing with some of the Star Wars books. They are pushing their political agenda into almost everything. And it's really, really grating my nerves. So, did politics play a part in that? Yeah, I honestly think it did. But it's also about money. And it's also about this pissing contest. So, there's a lot of things going on. I personally hope for everybody involved that Last Man Standing finds a good network to land on and isn't just flat out canceled out of the blue. That was their numbers are solid. They should have kept going. But back to the article. So there's what no one will tell this kid at this place. But Lee said he was not up to date with the particulars of Marvel's film rights at the moment, but the writer did say he wanted all of the company's flagship heroes to fall into the MCU one day. And again, that would be really awesome to look at, but it's gonna take a miracle. Let Lee says, we should have all of our characters under Marvel. Remind me, he jokes. Hang on a second, I lost it. Where are you? Remind me on my way home to do something about that. We'll do our best. Of course, Lee is not the only person who shared their hopes of seeing Marvel's biggest characters shift their film rights. Recently, the president of Marvel Studios said he wants nothing more than to replicate the fullness of the Marvel Universe on film. Yes, of course. And then Feige kind of goes on into a spiel. So no plans beyond that for the few remaining characters that aren't already in the MCU, but never say never. Who knows what can happen in the future. So he was talking about the success of actually landing Spider-Man for Civil War and the Infinity War, which I think is great. I mean, the new Spider-Man is fantastic, and I loved him in Civil War. I look forward to the movie coming out this summer. I look forward to the Avengers next year. So, article concluding, for now it seems like the MCU will have to deal without the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Fox is moving ahead with plans to revamp its X-Men cinematic universe with new projects like Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, which I reported on in this video here. As for Fantastic Four, the studio has failed to produce any worthwhile adaptations of the superhero family. Both of Fox's franchise attempts with Fantastic Four bombed at the box office. No, the original one didn't. So there's a chance Marvel Studios could convince the company to lend the iconic heroes one day. You know what I mean? I agree with that. I'm gonna take it a half step back and say Fox should just suck it up and do a deal for the Fantastic Four. They've had 3 attempts. One of them, the first try, was moderately successful, and it wasn't a great movie, but it was fun, and it had the right type of spirit and tone for the Fantastic Four. And part two kind of did too. I mean, I think, part 2, they weren't great by any stretch of the imagination. They were wrong. But they still had that lighthearted fun, And the Silver Surfer was cool. I thought he was well adapted to the screen. Galactus, not at all. But for the most part, yeah, Fox has had 3 attempts and they've not really gotten it right. I think that, they got their butts handed to them with this last one. They probably should go ahead and do the deal. And say X-Men, no, we're keeping that, but Fantastic Four, okay. Do a deal. For God's sake, do a deal. Disney, cough up some money. I know you don't like to spend money, but you're going to have to cough something up. I've got another one, but I think I'm out of time on this segment, so I'm going to move on to the next story. I'll see if I can't get to the Hydra website news later this week. Let's talk about a movie I watched. I finally watched. I don't know if you've ever been to my channel's main page, but there's a section with one movie review in it right now. I've not had a lot of time to watch movies. It's so sad. It hurts my feelings. But I did finally buckle down, stay up really stupid late, and watch, a high quality one. Underworld, Blood Wars. Now, for those of you who don't know, Underworld, Blood Wars is the Underworld film that came out in January of this year. And as most of you are probably aware, January is the dumping ground. The dumping ground for studios to just kind of dump films they don't have anywhere else to put. And let me preface this with a confession. If you've not heard me say this before, you'll probably hear me say this again. I have a soft spot for lower budgeted, semi-schlocky, sci-fi action fantasy films. I always have. I mean, I am a man of a certain age, and I grew up watching schlock flicks like Full Moon Movies put out, and Canon Pictures, and New Empire. No, just Empire. And, I grew up watching schlocky stuff, really cheap movies, and I have a soft spot for movies that are more ambitious than their limitations will allow them to be. And to me, Underworld Blood Wars was one of those films. Was it a good movie? Well, see, the thing about subjective art is good is dependent upon what you like and what you're looking for. So we'll talk about what it is, and then maybe whether or not you'll like it. So what it is. Underworld is part 5 of the Underworld saga. It is part 4 of the character Kate Beckinsale plays, Celine, her storyline. the way the first one started out, you had the first one and the second one kind of wrapped the story up, and the third one acted as a prequel to the first film, kind of rounding that story. So when they decided to come out with part 4, they basically started a new trilogy. And this is the second of that proposed trilogy. Awakenings was the semi-sequel / reboot, and Awakenings was a very jarring film. The reception to it wasn't that great, even though it wasn't terrible. But you had, and for the record, if you've not seen the first Underworld, I highly recommend it. It's an entertaining movie. Some of the best werewolf and vampire action you'll ever see. A lot of the effects are not CG. There's CG in it, obviously, but a lot of the special effects are done practically. Len Wiseman, the director, really pushed hard to have that. And forgive me if I go down a rabbit trail and never come back. I know I have a tendency to do that. I feel like I'm kind of in that mood right now, so I may do that. Forgive me. But moving on, it's a good movie. It's very practical effects driven. It's rather gory for those of you who might be squeamish. Most of you guys probably aren't. But back at Awakenings. Awakenings was a very jarring film because, without trying to give away too many spoilers, she basically wakes up in the future, and the story and the dynamics of the story and the motivations have changed dramatically from what they originally were in the original trilogy. And so a lot of people didn't like that because, and I didn't care for it either, if I can be quite honest, because I liked the dynamics of the original 3. So you have the continuing story of Selene. The official synopsis is this: the next installment in the blockbuster franchise, Underworld Blood Wars, follows vampire death dealer Selene as she fends off brutal attacks from both the Lycan clan and the vampire faction that betrayed her. With only her allies, David, and his father Thomas, she must stop the eternal war between Lycans and vampires, even if it means she has to make the ultimate sacrifice. That's more or less the synopsis. And may I say that Charles Dance plays the father, and Charles Dance is always awesome. Theo James plays David. The cast is actually fairly solid. The story is semi-entertaining. I tell you what really, really hurts this movie almost to the point of death is the editing. The editing in this movie was so bad. I mean, even points of exposition where people just need to talk to each other. I mean, they are popping at a clip, and you're just like, whoa, 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 just take a breath, stop. And I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, I guess they were like, they think that we're all riddled with ADD, and we can't watch something for more than 3 minutes if there aren't 100 cuts in those 3 minutes. But it just really blazes through, and it's really very distracting, honestly. I mean, for anybody that would start getting invested in the story, the editing just starts ripping it away from you. The short version is, if you like this series, I feel like you'll like this movie. I really do. Because it is more in the vein of the original films, more and less Awakenings, which primarily had her going up against humans. If you are not invested in this series, I seriously doubt this will change your mind. If you've never seen this series, the first one is really good, and they quality-wise kind of all go downhill from there. They really do. I remember when 2 came out, it was one of the most disappointing sequels I had seen. Now, I feel like if I watched it again, I may be a little more forgiving, but originally when I watched it, I just hated it. Hate's too strong a word. I really was just very disappointed. Like Matrix Reloaded disappointed. It was just that underwhelming. But the first one is always worth a watch, and like I said, if you've never seen it, give them a go. You might enjoy all of them, especially if you like fantasy, vampire, werewolf. Basically, I mean, these movies are constructed from comic book writers and comic book fans, so it has a huge comic feel to it. So I'd say if that interests you, give it a go. If that kind of stuff doesn't interest you, avoid it at all costs. Now, as for me, I like that stuff. I do. I like fantasy. I like comic book films. Like I said, this movie, if you've seen it and you didn't like it and you're like, the CGI was meh, this movie was filmed on a $35 million budget. Now, some of you guys may not know that is cheap. I mean, that's that's so cheap that I wonder how they even did it. I'm amazed at, because I mean, you could tell that they had a limited budget and they were really trying to reach past what they had. I'm always impressed with guys that can pull so much out of so little. And this is one of those films where it's like, yeah, but I really felt like, God, it just disappoints me because I feel like this movie had so much more potential. And I feel like there's like 15 minutes of this movie on a cutting room floor somewhere where they were trying to get it down to that magic 90-minute spot. I mean, do we even care about that anymore? In the day and age of Netflix binging, do we really need that to be an hour and a half? Food for thought. A lot of guys do this just to get more screenings in the theaters on a day. But, I mean, have we not moved past that? Because I feel like we have. I know I've been past it, like way past it. Seems like an hour and 45 minutes is really that magic spot. It's not too long, but it's not trying to just, God, cut it short, all the way. So, anyway, there's my review for a movie I finally watched, Underworld Awakenings. Comment down below if you've seen this movie, if you've seen the series, what you think about it, if you're going to try to watch it. And if you do try to watch it, come back here, post a comment, and let me know if you hate me or if you love me. All right, coming up next, what are we going to get into? We've got time for one more story, I think, tonight. One more. Where are we at? Oh, my God, I'm running so long. Okay. One more. What am I... Oh, man, this is hard. You know what? I'm going to have to do both of these. We're going long today, baby. We're going long today. So, next up, grab your loins because... You ready? I'm going to clear it out here. This coming via IndieWire.com. Oh, my God. The title of this article. Disney will own your youth. Rumored to be in talks to buy Hasbro. Okay, so depending on who you are, you're either jumping for joy right now with your fist in the air going, yes! Finally! Somebody's going to do the Transformers movies right. And I would be excited like that too. Except Paramount's not going to give that up. It's the one thing that makes them money right now. So, G.I. Joe, maybe. But when I say they're going to buy Hasbro, I mean all of Hasbro. I mean all the toys, everything. So let me give you a little bit of the article. With Lucasfilm and Marvel now under the heavy crown of the Mouse House, could Disney be making another play that will make them one of the biggest tentpole players in town? Again, it's just a rumor, but it's not totally outside the realm of possibility, but here it is. Disney may be in talks to buy Hasbro. Okay. Disney does like to keep this stuff very close to the chest, but there was rumor when they were going to buy Marvel that was floating around, and everybody's like, no, that's not going to happen. Oh, God, it did happen. Oh, no. So could it be true? Going back to the article. Certainly outside of Transformers, Hasbro has been having a hell of a time launching other properties with only Stretch Armstrong currently with a solid release date, while other titles like Monopoly, Ouija, Clue, Hungry Hungry Hippos, and Action Man, and more all remain brewing, stalled in development. Is there any wonder why? Actually, Hungry Hungry Hippos might make a good animated film. Hell, if you can make a movie about Angry Birds, you can make Hungry Hungry Hippos. A company like Disney could not only produce these pictures, but they already do multi-platform licensing and branding like a Reflex. Not to mention the numerous theme park opportunities. Moreover, they have worked with Hasbro before on countless toys and tie-ins, so it seems like a slam dunk. Something else to consider, Hasbro owns toy and tabletop game licenses to Star Wars, so it's easy to see why Disney would be kicking the tires. Why not have the extra revenue come in under one roof? Moreover, Hasbro's deal with Universal fell apart when the studio bailed, anticipating the disastrous Battleship, but putting the company under the roof of a movie studio solves a lot of problems and saves the headache of striking different deals for each property. Reader's note, I can't argue with that as much as I want to. Back to the article. And MTV Geek Notes, who apparently is the source of this article, notes that even if this is the first and last you hear about this rumor for a while, sometimes these deals take years to put together. True. And with two companies as big as Disney and Hasbro, the amount of paperwork involved is probably staggering. And yes, things will have to be worked out over G.I. Joe and Transformers, but they managed that when the Mouse House snapped up Marvel in a similar situation a couple of years ago, even though they still had distribution agreement with Paramount. Oh, that's right. The flip side, this could all be total bullcrap coming in the wake of the Lucasfilm sale. That's highly unlikely because everything they listed, if I were a Disney exec, that's what I'd be pitching. I mean, really, from Disney's point of view, it makes perfect financial sense. Paramount is gonna kill somebody. They're like looking into snipers right now who they can take out on the Disney board, because Disney already ripped away the one cash cow they had, the Marvel distribution, and now they'd be looking at losing the Transformers and G.I. Joe. Oh man, Paramount's having a hard time, guys. Paramount's like 2 steps above Sony right now. I mean, they are having a really tough go of it, and if they lose these, oh my, they're totally gonna hurt. So what do you think, guys? Look, to me, I personally don't care for this. I don't care for, if they got to do deals, do the deals. I can understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, I don't like how much control Disney is taking over basically the entertainment industry. Yes, there's tons out there still, but look at how much they have consolidated in the past 10 years. They own Pixar, which arguably they made Pixar, but Pixar was still an independent entity until Disney bought it. They own all of Lucas. They own all of Marvel. It's just more and more is being put into the hands of less and less. And yes, I know this is a common corporate strategy, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If it weren't for them, would we have ever gotten new Star Wars movies? I feel like eventually. But they've done a really good job with those so far, so I don't know. Would I like to see the Transformers films done correctly? Yes. Okay, I'm going to admit it. Yes, I would. And do I think Disney would do it? Or at least hire the right people? Yes, I do. But god dang it. Does it take being bought out to see this stuff done right? But like I said, I understand it from both points of view here. It's a deal that really makes sense. And I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Does this terrify you? Does it bum you out? Do you think it's awesome, the potential? Let me know. Disney might be smart enough to do a G.I. Joe versus Transformers film. Paramount clearly has not watched my video where I suggested that. That's right there, boink. And maybe they should. But maybe they would do it. I don't know. Side note for you comic fans, if they go through with this, IDW is screwed. Because every time Disney buys up anything, they snatch the comic rights from whoever owns it. When they bought Marvel, they ripped away the Pixar books from Boom Comics and cut their business by half. When they bought Lucas, they ripped the Star Wars books away from Dark Horse, and they've been keeping that series alive for like 20 years. Just like that. So if they get the rights for Transformers and G.I. Joe, which are a major part of IDW's pipeline, would vanish. So let me know what you think. Comment section down below. Hell, let's squeeze out one more. Let's do it. We're on a roll. Here we go. One more. You older guys are going to appreciate this like I did. This coming from MovieWeb.com. A couple of other sources too. Spaceballs 2 talks are happening, says Mel Brooks. Holy God. Now, this completely wins the award for most out of the blue, unexpected, what the hell headlines of the week. Mel Brooks has confirmed that he is in the early stages of getting Spaceballs 2 off the paper and into production. And by God, it better be called The Search for More Money. The Search for More Money. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've either not seen Spaceballs in a long time or you've not seen it at all. Rectify that. Watch Spaceballs. It is pure 80s cheese gold. It is when spoof movies were actually funny. I don't know if some of you guys are too young to actually remember seeing a spoof movie that was funny. Comment down below. What spoof movies do you like that you've seen that are funny? Mel Brooks was like the king of it. Uh, so this article goes on to say, we've been teased more than once about the possibility of getting a sequel to one of the most legendary movie parodies of all time. Yes, we have. Pranksters in New York City made up a bunch of fake Spaceballs 2 theatrical posters that went viral in minutes. The timing was perfect as The Force Awakens was still in theaters and the fake posters even had a brilliant title. Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, and pictured a busted up Lord Dark helmet headpiece, much like teasers for The Force Awakens. That actually is pretty brilliant. Brooks went on to praise the posters and the title, and even said that he was interested in getting the cast back together again for a possible sequel. So going on, he's at this thing, somebody asked him, when an audience member asked him directly about the sequel, Brooks replied that he's currently talking with MGM, and that he'd love to see it happen, which echoes statements that he has made in the past years. Okay, first of all, talking with MGM, that's a good thing, because MGM is also broke, and they're desperate to do something. The bad thing, he's been trying to do this for the last few years, no traction. It's kind of like Bill and Ted 3. Just can't seem to make it happen. Or Hellboy 3. Just can't seem to make it happen. But it's exciting that he's actually talking with MGM. I mean, there's so much he could do, especially with the new Star Wars films. It would be really, really good. So the article goes on to speculate about how it could be a prequel or how it could be part 2. See, here's the difficult part. Rick Moranis is retired. And I'm not even sure Mel Brooks, he played Dark Helmet in the films. I don't even know if Mel Brooks could bring this man back in. John Candy, of course, passed away many years ago. Joan Rivers passed away many years ago. But the article does make a good point that you never know. Maybe Mel Brooks could throw in a spoof of Guardians of the Galaxy in and have Barf come back as a puppy. That's really lame. Actually, don't do that. I'm sorry I even read that. That's Movie Web right there. Yep. Thank you, Movie Web. Spaceballs was originally let me, God almighty. Spaceballs, let me drink some coffee, actually. That's better. Spaceballs was originally released to theaters in 1987 to a pretty mixed critical reception. Not from me, much like Brooks's Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, which are now seen as legendary comedy classics. Spaceballs is arguably up there with the Brooks' earlier work, and there is an audience for the sequel. There was a pretty forgettable animated series that took on some prequel liberties. Yeah, it wasn't very good. I watched like an episode of it, and I really wanted to like it when I found out it even existed. Back to the article. But in all honesty, it was pretty bad and easy to forget that it ever happened. Okay, yes, valid point for Movie Web. Now they're balanced out 0 for 0. Yeah, it's asked if we need to start a petition to get Rick Moranis back on. Yeah. You know, if you can add a $5 bill for every vote, probably would help. But yeah, I would love to see Rick Moranis do anything right now, anything good. But, well, there you go, guys. That is the entertainment roundup for the day. Like I said, I promise to get back to doing the trailer reviews and doing more movie reviews. But you know what? Let me know what you like. Do you like the long form, the short form? I appreciate all your kind words on the skit that I did. That was the first time I've ever tried something like that. It was tricky to record 4 voices and then edit it all together. But I've got another idea for another Marvel skit, honestly. And let me know if you want to see more of those. Do you like it across the board? Do you like having movie reviews and trailer reviews and movie news and general chit chat from yours truly? Yeah, comment anywhere. I read all your comments, and I try to respond to as many of them as I can. I'm sure I've responded to you probably, and I always will. I will always try to do that until I get my 500,000 or 600,000 people, and then it would. But I promise I do read them. Thank you for taking the time, and let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't. Try to forgive me for what you don't. And I will take it all into consideration, and I will try to at least get one video up to you guys daily. Do you prefer daily? Do you prefer multiple times a day? Just let me know your general consensus. And I'll try to balance what everything has. And when you guys are numerous enough, I really want to do giveaways. You guys don't know how bad I want to do giveaways. But the audience has to be a little bigger to be able to afford to do it. Because, money to buy stuff, to do giveaways, or to attract sponsors, to give me things to give away to you. I love all of it. I love giving stuff away. I love sharing this stuff with you. I love making recommendations. And I love the recommendations you guys have made for me on the YouTube pages, especially in in the comic book sections. Your recommendations. I'm broke. I'm broke trying to keep up with you guys, but it's awesome. Keep it coming. If you've got movies, that you want me to review, or movies that you recommend that I see, just post those anywhere. Because like I said, I'm always watching. I'm always checking, and when I can, I will comment back. But this is it for the day. This is Eric Dillon. Thank you for joining me. If you like this, please like and share and subscribe and help build this base. It is straight support for my channel, and thank you to you guys who have done so far. You are awesome. You make this happen. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves.